What is going on, everybody? It's Raymond and Scar here with another episode of the Brew Sportscast.
What's up, man?
Just chilling.
Yep.
Had an eventful day.
Yeah, just got done with our fantasy draft for your family league.
Third one of the year.
Yeah.
Played some badminton out in the rain.
Yeah. Freaking humid out there.
It's Florida for you.
Yeah.
But tonight we're just gonna talk about or review the Jags game and basically talk about some NFL news. But before we get started, did you have something to say?
So basically, this episode's probably going to be pretty short compared to like our recent ones, just because there's not a lot of big news right now that we want to talk about, and then it's just preseason. So we're going to review the Jags games, but we don't have a lot of other games that we really want to review. Once the regular season gets going, we'll have a structured format, and we've actually discussed it because our episodes have been so long lately, and we haven't even really thrown in like the full amount of fantasy and NFL we want to talk about, like reviewing regular season games and stuff like that. So we're going to split it into two episodes. We'll still record in the same night, but it will be like part one, part two. So once the regular season gets going, the first part will be, we'll talk about the Jags game. We'll always review the Jags game first, and then we'll possibly review like any other like big games that week or highlights throughout the NFL, and then we will also do our pick'em. So our 5-team pick'em for the upcoming week. We'll be competing in that to see who is the better picker on that, and then after that we will end like part one.
Yep.
And then part two we will go into will just be strictly fantasy. So we'll do our our TBT, our Throwback Thursday or whatever, the fantasy trust, bust, and thrust.
Yeah.
And since we're doing a whole segment on fantasy, we will probably pick more than one player each. We'll do a few players for each category, each of us.
Like position, maybe?
Yeah, maybe we will do that. Maybe we'll go through quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, and pick a trust, bust, and thrust for each of those positions each.
Yeah, that'll work.
So we'd have like basically 12 players that we'd be going over each, and that would take up the whole second segment of fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, anyways, some news around the league that we saw this week was let's start with the injury for Matt Corral.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rookie for Carolina. He was basically fighting for the starting position with Baker and
Sam
Darnold. But I mean, he had what ETN had last year. Liz Frank. He got sacked and broke his foot.
It's for sure that he's going to be out though.
Yeah,
or is it just a possibility out the entire season?
I think he's out the entire season. It might be a Liz Frank, or he may have ended up tearing his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but I know he's out the whole season.
Yeah.
Besides him, you got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Who is suspended 11 games. I don't agree with it. It should be more.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. But, I said that before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into like politics or anything on it, but I definitely...
How are politics involved in that anyway?
I'm not going to go over. I just said I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely think it should have been longer, but whatever. 11 and...
A $5 million fine.
Yeah, and Browns are getting screwed on. They took a chance on him, and I was telling Sam this the other day at the tailgate. His contract is $230 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
So they're paying him 20-something million a year. So this year he's barely gonna play, and they still are paying him that.
Do you know how many years it was he signed?
5 year, $230 million. Yeah, and it's fully guaranteed. It even has a language in there that says that his bonuses and future earnings are not affected by suspension.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
He's gonna be making bank to just sit on the bench, and yes, the Matt Corral thing is most likely out for the season. It doesn't say for sure yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did it say what it was?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
It's a foot injury, is what it said. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's really all the news that we saw this week. So let's just move on to the Jags game.
Yeah, reviewing the Jags Steelers. So I was
You were
very
there?
I was there, of course, but I was very happy about how that game went and how our starters looked.
They played. I think the starters played the whole first half. Now some of them were mixed in with with the second, third string in the third quarter. But
Yeah,
I mean, allowed. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, the first team defense allowed 10 rushing yards basically in the first half. They didn't allow anything big besides that drive going into the half. I was disappointed about that, but
man, coming into this season, I was most excited about our offense.
Yeah.
After that game, dude, I am freaking most stoked about our defensive line.
Yeah.
Arden Key,
Trayvon
Walker, and Josh Allen all looked like beasts, just blowing that line up, putting pressure on the quarterback, just constant.
Yep.
I think our defense is going to be really good this year. Also, you got to think, did you see the corners that we're starting? Shaq Griffin wasn't in there.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Him and the Darius guy is still out.
Okay.
So you had...
I was looking for him.
Trey Herndon and Clay Brooks and Tyson Campbell. Which I'm not saying those are bad corners, but they're not our starters.
Yeah.
Tyson Campbell should be probably the slot starter or whatever. But yeah, you had Herndon that he was getting picked on quite a bit with that number 80 guy. I forget his name, but he also, Deontay Johnson, had a couple long passes. But you were without Shaq and our other starting corner.
Okay. That Clay Brooks doesn't really impress me, but other than that, did you see the hit that Campbell put on his former teammate Pickens? Just laid the guy out, running across the middle.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, there was also a pretty big hit put on. Was it Snoop?
Maybe, I don't know.
It was either Snoop or the other running back.
Armstead?
It was Armstead. He got laid out pretty well. Like he flew back a few feet.
Armstead got laid out?
It was either him or Snoop. They they caught the pass and then they flew back a few feet.
Yeah. But obviously we know they need to work on their 2-minute defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. It wasn't either one of them. It was that dude that was doing good, the receiver, Tim Jones. For Jags.
Okay.
Did you not see Tim Jones in the second?
Yeah, he had the big play with Perry.
He had the two big plays where he fought through traffic and gained a bunch of yards.
Yeah.
Well, there was a third play where he caught the ball come across the middle and a dude came up and sent him flying back a few feet.
Right. Okay. But so that's about. What?
Yeah.
The defense. Do we have anything else to say about the defense?
I mean, no, they just look solid. Honestly, besides that last 20 seconds where Pittsburgh drove down and took the lead, our starters definitely won the first half. Our starters definitely won.
Yeah.
And you got to think also, in that first half, we also had a missed field goal. So if we would have made that field goal, even with Pittsburgh coming in at the end and driving down and scoring in that last half, we still would have had the half. Our starters still would have won that game. That
guy needs to be cut, though.
Yeah, Sanatosa or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and our backups look good, too. Of course, Luton's gone, thankfully. Old Beathard.
He looked okay.
He looked pretty good, and I know you were hating on him, and so was a couple of other of our friends and all, but E.J. Perry looked freaking solid. He made that one mistake where he threw the interception, but if you look at it, okay, think about it. Tom Brady or anybody else makes mistakes and throws interceptions, and look how he bounced back. In the next drive, drove all the way down the field. And he would have won that game for us if that receiver hadn't dropped that pass that he, threw that long pass.
Okay.
So, right after that interception, he was driving down and he was dropping dimes, long passes. He looked good, to bounce back like that and bring us all the way back to try to win. and once again our field goal kicker messed it up.
Yeah.
So that's 2 field goals missed that we should have definitely won that game.
Probably should have kept Elliott Fry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the kicker situation. There's 32 NFL teams. I was like talking about this with Joel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so if 32 teams take kickers and they're all solid, I don't know another team that struggles as much with us as us the past couple seasons with kicking. You're telling me there's not way more than 32 kickers out there that are like really good? That I don't care if it's coming from college, whatever, or veterans already in the league. Right. There's got to be a kicker out there that we can take and make like our solid starting kicker when there's only 31 other kickers taken right now that are, starters.
I miss Lambeau.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, well. We'll find that kicker eventually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, overall, the defense looked good. Let's move on to the offense. Yeah. What do you think? The starting offense.
Trevor looked good. He obviously made a couple of bad throws, but for the most part, like, he was moving the ball. He was using his legs. ETN, the running game.
Yes.
All 3 of our running backs really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Looks solid. Man, I am getting more and more hyped about ETN as I see him run. Like, he is just explosive, and just making things happen that aren't shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And great hands.
I saw a play with him. Was it last night or the night before they played? It was last night, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
He took the ball right up the middle. He sat there like between the offensive and defensive line, and then he shot right out. I was like, that reminds me a lot of MJD, but it's just smaller and probably quicker, a little quicker, but his moves and stuff. I can't wait to see him in the regular season.
Yeah.
And our offensive line, there's a couple plays out there that Trevor had a lot of time.
Oh yeah, we are definitely like night and day from last season. Yeah. Like this whole team. Tight ends are looking good. Receivers, we finally got to see Christian Kirk in action, and he didn't disappoint.
He had 2. I can't say he had 2 drops. There was 2 out patterns, deep outs.
Yes,
that he was open,
and people were hating on Trevor Lawrence about those throws. And I said he missed a couple throws, but 2 of those, it was a toss up between whether it was his fault or Christian Kirk's.
Yeah,
like they were that deep out where Trevor threw, I wouldn't say a perfect ball, but he put it out there away from the defender, and it looked like it barely barely out of reach of Kirk. It's like, I don't know. That's a toss up 50-50 on who to blame for that, but I think that's just something that they'll hone in.
Yeah. He had 5 receptions for 54 yards. Mm-hmm. Marvin Jones had 3 or 4 receptions for 40 plus yards.
Solid target. Zay Jones, of course, is always exciting.
Yeah.
Like he's,
Chenault. Let's talk about Chenault for a minute. Yeah. I do not use that guy at the punt returning position. I said this from the beginning of this podcast. Don't use him because he can't catch the ball. What's he do? He drops the ball his first punt return. Yeah. They used him later on in the game for wide receiver screen passes, and he just trucks everybody coming at him. That's what they need to use that guy for.
Right.
So I mean,
you got that other, I forget his name, but the guy that also muffed a punt return, but he picked the ball up and still was able to gain 20, 30 yards.
I think he's a rookie.
Yeah, I'm use him for punt returns. Chenault needs to be your Deebo Samuel type, screen passes out the backfield, get the ball in his hand and see what he can do with it, out the backfield. Or,
I wouldn't even use Chenault in the backfield anymore with the talent they have back there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, who we got next week? We got the Falcons. Pretty sure none of the starters are going to play next week.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We'll still probably watch it, but
yeah, and we're going to have to cover it on the podcast. I don't know what we'll have. Yeah. Next week's just to warn y'all, going to be another short episode until regular season starts.
That's 3 weeks away from today. Yeah. So the next 2 after tonight will be short.
Yep.
So, but I think that. Anything else? You've already told them about fantasy and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I really think I'm really excited to see what the Jags can do this year.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, like I said, he said, it's gonna be short for the next couple of weeks, but I think that's it for tonight's episode. I'm Raymond.
And I'm Scar. This is the Brew Dude Sportscast.
Until next time.
Keep it brewing.